Hello, welcome everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you today for lunch with Alsace. It's been a couple of months since I've been on an Alsatian Live. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first last year to kick off the series. So we are continuing on, and so we're really excited to be able to talk with Julian Schaal from Julian Schaal Wines. And he just joined. So hello everybody, hello. I'm gonna go ahead and get our winemaker on. I just want you guys to get right into all of these delicious Grand Cru Rieslings that we're gonna be talking about. So I'm coming to you from, it's a gorgeous day. I hope you all are enjoying yourselves. And hi, how are you?
How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, voila, hello. So it is 6
That
p.m.
works like a
in
charm.
Wonderful. It is noon here in the East Coast of the United States. So we are going to continue with our lunch with Alsace. Julian, I know it's not lunchtime for you. It's almost dinner time, but we're thankful that you are able to join us
We're
today.
gonna pretend it's lunchtime. It's a very long lunchtime.
It's a very long lunchtime.
A very
Fantastic.
French way.
And how very French of you. How's the weather over there?
It's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if you can see because I'm just outside. This is the vineyard, the Rosaquer, Grand Cru Rosaquer. So you see, it's blue sky. So it's pretty awesome. We're super pleased that this week it's gonna be like that for yeah, at least 7 to 10 days. So that's gonna be perfect to pick all the Riesling, and then it's done. Then 2022 will be done.
Perfect weather. Perfect. Well, we have a bunch of people that are joining us. So let us get underway with talking about your wines. So again, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so fortunate to have Julian Schaal from Julian Schaal Wines here, coming from his vineyard. It is a beautiful day there. It is a beautiful day here in central Pennsylvania. And I'm so excited to be here with you. So we are talking with Julian Schaal, who focuses on Grand Cru Riesling from Grand Cru Vineyards in Alsace. He does a little bit of winemaking in South Africa, but he's told me that he's not quite so brazen to be planting and making wine from Riesling in South Africa. So we won't talk about that today
No, we won't talk
at
about South Africa
all.
today.
At all. So Julian, tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself, how you got into wine, why it's important to you, and what you're up to now.
Yeah, I make wine here in Alsace. We are based in Saint Hippolyte, but we are soon gonna move to Unavir, which is right next to Ribeauvillé. We are when I say we, it's my wife and I, because she's also a winemaker, so we are working together. And yeah, we are making wine, mostly Riesling. For 90% of our production is Riesling, and mostly based on Grand Cru wines. So we got two different range: the Julien Chal range, which is exclusively Riesling from different site, different Grand Cru, Alsace Grand Cru, and the Sophie Chal range, which is a Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and Riesling. Yeah, that's correct. That's the Rosaquer. I can imagine if I recognize the the color of the label. But yeah, so it's we don't do large volume. We do about 30 to 40,000 bottles per year. But we like what we do. We export everything, so we are pleased about that. And the major difference is also it's a pure. We are buying the grapes. We don't own the vineyard, so that's a big difference. So that allows us to buy different Grand Cru that are not necessarily nearby our cellar, but got a very specific soil. So it's been a couple of years. I've been making wine in Alsace since '99. It sounds like I'm an old man, uh, but yeah, no, we are enjoying it. We don't have family in the wine industry, so we are the first generation, like my son says. He always say, "Oh, but you are
So,
the first generation." So
so
anyway.
what drew you to wine? You're the first in Europe. That's something that's relatively new to have someone who's not in a generation of a family of wine. That happens here in the States a lot, because we're a much younger country. But when you're talking about, a lot of these European families that have been doing this for so many generations, and now there's someone like you who's just said, what was it? Why did you say, I just want to be in wine and this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I must say it's quite unusual, but yeah, I grew up in Strasbourg, so I grew up in Alsace, but in the big city, and I've done some studies in the restaurant and hotel management things, and part of that was a sommelier course, and I really found the real passion for that. So I get into the wine as a wine aficionado, so wine nerd. You understand what I mean? So that's also a different approach, and that explains a little bit what we are doing as well. But I really have that approach to wine from the passion. You understand? So really as a
Julian,
geek.
I was a sommelier for 15 years in New York City. I understand. And to say that a sommelier became a winemaker, I mean, who would have thunk it?
No, and between you and me, I still don't. Sometimes I don't think it's true. Actually, that I've got my name on a Grand Cru from Alsace. I mean, that sounds almost unreal. You know, and I'm really. I'm blessed by that situation, and we are trying to work as hard as we can to keep the dream going, because that's, I mean, yeah, that's a pinnacle of what we could of our hopes.
and did you say you worked in restaurants? Where in Strasbourg did you work?
To be fairly honest with you, when I was graduated as a sommelier, I did one summer in south of France. It was in near Antibes, Juan-les-Pins, and it was the Hotel Juana. Back in those days, it was a 2 Michelin stars. But I was maybe a bit too naive when I get there, and I thought as a sommelier I would be able to do the promotion of small wineries and so on. But back in those days, which was like 20 years ago, it was more like opening another bottle of Dom Perignon, and you understand. So all of a sudden I thought like, maybe I should make wine. You understand? So I've been sommelier only a couple of months, to be honest. So that doesn't allow me to say that I'm ex-sommelier. I think it was only 3 months. So,
well, the moniker of being a winemaker is pretty prestigious in itself. So we'll give you some leeway.
Yeah, but then I remember when I said to my parents, I said like, by the way, I think I'm actually going to carry on my studies and I'm going to Burgundy. And it's like, oh, really? Again? I was like, yeah, another 3 years. And then it was awesome. I mean, especially when you enter to the wine with the passion as a sommelier, all of a sudden when you live in Beaune, when you prune the vineyards from Pommard, Premier Cru, Les Rugiens, I mean, it's just like, it's like a dream, really.
Yeah.
So and that carry on for now 20 years.
Well, I think that was a fantastically great inspirational place to start.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right. Well, so you don't have your own vineyards. You're buying you're buying fruit, or you're buying juice?
Yeah, I buy all the grapes from different producer. We've got very good relationship with them. I mean, they're all friends, and they've been following us since many years. So actually, it's actually a brilliant situation where when I don't tell them what to do, they know what to do more than I do in the vineyard. You understand what I mean? And so it's a matter of trust, and I think it works extremely well. So I think it's we never. I think all the producers we start with are still with us today. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So, but why Grand Cru? I mean, there are, and we've talked about this on Summation live chats. I've talked with you guys, if you've watched me coming from my accounts, that there are so much opportunity for Grand Cru wine coming out of Alsace. But you went straight for Grand Cru vineyard sites. So why did you choose that?
I thought I've always been amazed about the fact that Alsace got this real patchwork, this great diversity of soil that is almost unique. You understand, and not to criticize the other wine region, but you understand, like in Burgundy, you've got a variation of limestone and clay and so on. Here, I mean, come on, we've got limestone, and on the other side there we've got gypsum, and right there we've got granite and schist and volcanic soil in Rangen. I mean, it's crazy. And as much as I think on the red wine, the Pinot Noir is the most sensitive to the soil, I think for the white wine, Riesling is definitely the same. I mean, the Riesling is so sensitive to the soil. You've got different texture, different acidity, different aromas. And the idea with the Grand Cru was to have a collection of Grand Cru that all of them's got a different soil, and being able to make the wine exactly the same way in stainless steel tank, so it's very pure, and it's just the soil that really speaks. And that was the whole idea, to have a range of wine, same vintage, same winemaking, but completely different soil, and that we can appreciate the difference. So that was the idea.
So I've heard before that Pinot Noir is a very delicate grape in itself, you know, and we know that Cabernet is a very thick-skinned grape, and it's very, you know, rugged, and it can take a lot of heat and sun and that type of thing. I've never heard before though that Riesling was such a sensitive grape. So what about Riesling? Is it temperamental? Doesn't have a lot of vigor? Are the skins very delicate? What is it about Riesling that is so unique and special and delicate that makes it work so well in a Grand Cru vineyard?
I think what is really magic with Riesling is that when it's on a great soil, sometimes during the harvest, I mean, I don't know if you can see behind, but there are some grapes of Riesling here and there. And you know what? When you touch the grapes, small berries, inside the pips are brown. It looks super yellow, very ripe. But at the end of the day, when you press the juice, the acidity is super strong and it's fresh, and that's magic. I mean, you won't get that thing with Semillon or even with Chardonnay. So I think that's really the magic thing. It always have that sort of sharp acidity, and even though it's super ripe, it's still elegant. And I think I love that variety, and I'm so pleased that it's becoming more and more popular, because it's really, I think it's the wine for the next century. But who am I to say that?
Well, but your passion and your exuberance is really coming through, and I think that's what's really interesting. Is, you know, on a platform like this, for you're so excited about this grape variety, and it really does come through. So that said, shall we taste?
Of course, yeah. Let's try with that. We do have 3 different wines. Would you like to start with the Chenambour, or we can start with the Rosacer? You let me know.
Let's start with the Rosacer, because I have it in my glass right now.
Sure. So this is the Rosacer. So let me show you, because that's the easiest thing. So the Rosacer, well, the Grand Cru starts here, but actually our block is just on the other side. It's located in Navire. It's one of the most iconic wine in Alsace, because it's on clay and limestone. It's really driven by that limestone character. But the Rosacer is really a place for the Riesling, where it's got that very classic style. But classic is not boring. Classic is actually very exciting. Classic, like the Riesling were 50 years ago and should always have been. So it's a beautiful classic Riesling for me. It's I always remember that I get into the Alsace wine with those great wine from limestone, like you've got from Trinbar, for example, and that sort of style. And I think, yeah, the Rosacer is one of those exciting ones. I'm just going to pour myself a glass of wine, so then we can talk about that. So cheers.
Cheers to you.
So the Rosacer, the interesting thing for us, for my wife and I, is that as we've got some generic Riesling and we also have the Grand Cru, we can really compare where the generic Riesling, when after the fermentation, you've got lemon lime character, which is very exuberant, very exciting. And on the Grand Cru, you almost skip that sort of period to go straight into the minerality. So it's always a more serious. Even just after the fermentation, it's already there. I mean, that minerality is already there. So you already have got that sort of hot stones character that you've got on the nose. But the most interesting thing for me is probably the palate. So well, let's drink it so we can talk about that. You see, it's the definition of Riesling, I think, should always start with the perception of the acidity. And for me, that acidity in the Rosacer is large. It's on the side of your tongue. It's really quite massive, but it's large, and that's typically limestone. Limestone always gets to that sort of complexity, and it gives you a lot. I really like that. It's also got some complexity, and it's quite rounded on the palate.
There's an amazing amount of texture on the top of my tongue. It's gripping in a way that you don't expect a white wine to do, which tells me specifically that this is a great food wine.
That's correct. I mean, the Rosacer is definitely a good. I mean, for me, I mean, most of my Grand Cru, I always start to open them as an aperitif. So sometimes we can open 2 or 3 different wines, and we try all of them as an aperitif. But after that, I mean, just a glass, you understand, and with my friends. But or sometimes just with my wife.
Sometimes just by myself.
Okay. But then we don't drive, so it's allowed.
No. Be safe, be safe.
Exactly. So, but what I like is that, you know, as an aperitif, you sort of, it's almost like a sort of a profession sort of exercise, which is always nice. And then you've got it with the food, and with the food, sometimes, wow, your perception is completely different. All of a sudden, the judgment you had when you tested the wine as an aperitif, when it's really a good match with the food, then you change your mind, and then all of a sudden it's much more interesting. So yeah.
Since this is lunch with Alsace, and I am in a restaurant right now, but I don't have any food in front of me, but I have these amazing wines. So once we talk about the wines, let's talk about the food that goes with the specific wine itself, because I think what's going to be really exciting to learn is not only tasting the wines to see the different characteristics of each expression and of each vineyard site, but also to see what you think as the winemaker is the specific food. And it doesn't, I mean, look, like we talk about food pairings all the time. It doesn't necessarily have to be this only goes with this and that's it and nothing else. We talk about a variety of different things. And so, you know, the sky's the limit on what you want to pair it, but there are specific things about each Grand Cru Alsatian Riesling that will bring out or be brought out by a particular food item. So what with the Rosacer do you think would really just, you know, make it sexy and passionate and exciting with this wine?
For me, it's really with the ceviche. We like to do it at home, but we like to have it in a restaurant as well. I think the ceviche is quite interesting because, especially when you've got a mix of different fish, you know, if you can have some fish that are a little bit more generous, like the salmon, and having some white fish, but by the fact that you also have a hint of spiciness and the acidity of the lemon and lemon lime, and I think that works extremely well with the wine because the ceviche itself is also multi-layers. You understand, with different perception, so you can get the acidity, and then all of a sudden you've got a piece of the salmon that is like really friendly and and change the palate. And I think with the Rosacer that really works like a charm. I mean, that would be my
I love that you said salmon and not, you did mention whitefish, but you're pushing on salmon. And I think that because of that texture within the wine, a little bit of that fat that you get from a salmon would go very, very nicely. So be it a salmon or something that's got a little bit more oil or something a little bit more fatty would go really nicely. And the acidity from that ceviche would go nicely. So even like a toro or fatty tuna, I think would be so amazing with maybe a little bit of yuzu in that ceviche. A bit of that Asian spice would go really nicely as well. Yeah, with that wine, Absolutely.
I think that idea of the yuzu is, I mean, yeah, I'm buying it. Yeah, that's for sure. No, let's have it now. No, definitely that will work extremely well. I agree. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Um,
Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's go on to the next wine then.
of course, yeah.
Which
So
one do you
let
want to
me.
go for?
We're gonna go for the. What? We're gonna go for the Chenambour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So we see
All
that.
right. So this
That's
is a
when
2019.
this is 2019. So obviously it's a little bit harder to compare, but that's the exciting thing for me is that there is just a couple of kilometers difference between Rosacer and Chenambour. Rosacer is in Unavir, Chenambour is in Ricvire, but that's just on the other side. I mean, there is one hill between, you know. So I think on the map it might be, I don't know, just a couple of kilometers. So it's completely different, and the style of the one is completely different. Now here we are talking about um, heavy clay like marl and with some gypsum, something that is much more heavy, much more rich. It's also a south-facing slope. It's super beautiful. I mean, everybody that's been to Ricvire have seen that south-facing slope. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But the style of the wine is completely different. It's also that large acidity on the palate, but because of the gypsum, you've got a sort of a bitterness, which is definitely more towards quinine sort of bitterness. You understand? It's something that is ripe. I mean, it's not bitterness. It's not green bitterness. It's actually a great bitterness that gives almost a sort of a tannin structure. You understand? I mean, it's really a structure to the wine
Yeah.
where I think it's brilliant because then you can pair it with different food, and all of a sudden it's a different animal. You understand what I mean? Even though
Yeah.
there are
And
just a couple of kilometers, but yeah.
well, what I think is interesting about bitterness is something that I learned when I was a wine director at Casa Livre because it's such an Italian restaurant. And bitter here in the States, oftentimes people see bitter as bad. We don't like bitter. We're people that like our sugar. We like these ripe flavors. Um, Generally speaking, I mean, there's obviously so many different amazing people that have come from different places and different likes and dislikes for things. But generally speaking, bitter is considered bad. Whereas in Italy, bitter it's embraced. The blood oranges, the Negronis, the aperitivos. The um, Camparis and that type of thing. But to me,
Exactly.
it's that
Yeah.
little, and I get that from this wine. You get that little bitter tone to it, um, and like you were saying, that salinity. And salinity helps with it helps your mouth water just in the same way that acidity does. So you get that acidity, you get that kind of salty that like beefs up all of that acidity on your palate, and just a touch of bitterness. And my mouth is still watering. So again, it's a different than the last one where the last wine had that textural component that was kind of pulling me into wanting something a little bit more fatty and to hang out with that texture. And now I want something that's gonna go really nicely with that salty salinity. So what do you think would go really nicely with this wine?
I think what will really go by the fact that we've tried, of course, is that bitterness is once again, that great bitterness that you also got in gin and tonic or whatever, is actually helping to have your palate not to get too tired. So, for example, if you've got a fish with a creamy sauce, that's actually working very well because that great bitterness is helping the palate to refresh and to still be in balance with that creamy, rich sauce. And even though it's a creamy sauce with some with some lemon juice or whatever, but it does really help. And I'm not sure it will be exactly the same with the Rosacer, but that's the beauty with the Chenambour is it's got that structure, which is fantastic. So we can have rich food and still feel very light afterwards. Afterwards, so it's cool.
Is there a particular creamy fish dish that might be specifically Alsatian?
Um, Alsatian, yeah. I'm not too sure. I like the sole in general, but she's not from Alsace at all. But from yeah, I'm not too sure about the fish from the lake or the river. I'm less a big fan of that. But yeah, even a sole meunière, but even if there is no cream,
Sommelier.
it still worked
Well,
well, even without the cream. I mean, actually, sole
but
meunière works
there's
well.
sommelier is there's butter there.
Exactly, there's butter as well. So
Hmm.
it's there is a kind of richness as well, even if it's not cream. But I think yeah, I'm not too sure now. I don't know.
Well,
We should try.
I made a, so in my garden, it's about an hour west of where I am right now. In my garden, we had a lot of tomatoes. And so I made a pasta dish with all of these cherry tomatoes and they pop, pop, pop. They're so sweet. And then I put goat cheese in it.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
just
that's really
that,
cool.
and it's like that creaminess and that
Yeah,
high
yeah, yeah.
acidity from the goat cheese with the sweetness from the tomatoes, a whole bunch of salt and pepper, and just I didn't have that with this wine, but I now need to go have that with this wine. So
That sounds
vegetables and cream
yeah.
sauce too.
Exactly. That sounds really good too. Maybe we should try.
Uh,
Maybe I should try.
maybe, maybe, definitely. But we're
Surely I
also
should try.
surely, and we're going into the fall season. So what would you think about this with like a butternut squash soup with some
Oh
pumpkin
yeah.
seeds and then a dollop of creme fraiche?
Oh yeah, no, and that just like a little bit of salt, you know, the Malden salt from UK. That sort of like oh yeah, that would be beautiful with a nice olive oil on top. Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's the good thing with the winter. Huh?
Or
No, but you're right. I mean, mm.
we could go Italian or Italian American and do like a chicken Alfredo.
But you know what? I mean, even with simple food, there is actually no rules. It doesn't have to be very elaborated. As soon as the test is good, you understand. I mean, I quite like to keep it simple as well. And if someone say to me it's with roasted chicken, then hey, well, you know what? Yeah, cool. I'm buying it. Yeah, let's do roasted chicken with the with the risting. Why not? So let's try. You understand? So I think it's actually but that's the beauty of the whole sommelier also job is that I like to go to a restaurant and I like to say, you know what, I'm not gonna even see the wine list. Just choose something, but something that's gonna be surprising, and sometimes maybe it's a rosé wine that I will never order, but that's the great thing with the sommelier. It's really to surprise the clients. I think that's the most interesting thing. Yeah.
I love this. See, so trust in your sommelier. If you go to a restaurant, talk to your sommelier, tell them what you like, tell them what you're interested in, try something new, and trust your sommelier.
Exactly, because I mean, you trust the chef to the restaurant where you are going. So
Yeah,
come on, you can trust the
yeah,
sommelier as well. I
yeah.
mean,
Come on, come on, absolutely. So I know that you had you had said before that your influences are Trimbach and Albert Mann, some of my favorite producers.
that's very
You
true.
know, they have a lot of wines at different price points. Yours are Grand Cru, and I think that the price points are extremely accessible, but one might be a little bit nervous, afraid, unsure to be purchasing a higher price point Riesling from Alsace. How do you justify? How do you encourage
I
your
mean,
guests sitting at your
I
table to
that's
buy
actually
a
yeah,
high
that's
priced?
actually a super good question. So thanks a lot for that because actually, I mean, you are correct. I mean, I absolutely love the fact that Trimbar with the Clos Saint-Une is at a high price point. I think it's brilliant for Alsace. It's really moving everybody from Alsace a little bit higher. And same thing for Albert Mann. I absolutely love their wine and I love the price point. And you are correct. I'm maybe not brave enough today to be at that level. I don't think I really deserve it yet. Maybe after a couple of years, we can maybe pretend to have something that is slightly higher. It will never be at the same level, but I think it's. Yeah, and then very frankly speaking, we need to finance everything, and sometimes it can be a bit challenging with the cash flow. So I need to have my stock out quite early, just to keep the dream going. I know it's not the perfect answer you were looking for, but this is a very honest one.
Okay, but I'll also remind you, when we spoke last week, I will remind you that you said that Alsatian Grand Cru, and listen up, all you sommeliers, Alsace Grand Cru the pricing is quite approachable when compared to where you first started making wine in
That's correct, in Burgundy. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. No, that's correct. And I think we eventually gonna go there, but slowly. But once again, I mean, the guys that are doing extremely well in Alsace and got high price points got all my respect, and I think I've got everything to learn from them, for sure.
Well, we want to share your wines with the world so that people can understand, and this is going to drive you to do even better than what you're doing already.
Yeah, no, but that's a good way to move forwards as well, and maybe that should be also a sort of a target. But yeah, no, we. At the moment, we are in the situation where we like to have all our wines at different places that we like around the world, and we absolutely love traveling and doing winemakers dinner. That's probably the things that we like the most. So I think it's the second step will be maybe to get the price a little bit higher. You're correct.
Later. Right now, we're going to try another wine.
Oh yeah. Right now we're going to do the Rangen. Rangen is.
This is 2020.
This is 2020. It's the smallest cuvée we've got in terms of volume. You should imagine that Rangen is a super complicated Grand Cru to produce. It's a south-facing slope in Tannes, which is the southern point of Alsace. Super steep. I mean, extremely steep. Like really, like you will see in Moselle or those kind of places. So it's an extreme vineyard. Absolutely nothing can be done with a tractor. Everything is done by hand. It's really, I mean, it's mad. But at the same time, it's one of the only volcanic soil in Alsace. So that makes it super unique. And you've got fantastic producer like Zintumbrecht or Schofit that are doing extremely great wine. And for me, when I had the opportunity to get my hands on a ton of Riesling from Rangen, I just jumped on it because that's like I don't know, it's the Montrachet from Alsace. You understand what I mean? It's not something you're gonna move volume with, because quite honestly, I mean, the 2020 was not even, I mean, that was like 2 pallets of wine at the end. So you understand how small is the cuvée. But the wine itself is mad. I mean, that volcanic soil, I mean, even the grapes looks different. Everything is, the color is more yellow, orange than the other Riesling. Everything is different in Rangen. Everything from the start to the bottling, the fermentation everything is, I mean, it's from another planet. You know, so that by the way, it's more expensive.
That's why. There you go. It makes it special.
So you see, I'm getting there. But yeah, the volcanic soil always gives that sort of hint of smokiness on the nose, but which is really soft, and that had a lot of complexity to the wine. It's a very powerful wine. I mean, especially on the palate. I mean, it's super concentrated. I mean, you should see those vineyards got like, each vine's got like a couple of grapes, and this is it. You understand, because it's purely on that rock.
Those vines are holding on to the rock like
Oh yeah,
this.
but even even when I'm taking some samples to see if it's ripe or not, or like at the moment, and but even that, I do struggle, and I'm just have to pick some grapes for sampling. You understand? So, but anyway, it's yeah, it's a really interesting wine. Great acidity, sharp like a knife, complex, powerful. Yeah, all different layers. I mean, it's really a wine of the extreme on every different aspect.
Well,
That's what Rangan is.
let's do what Psalms do about wine. We're the translators, right? So you talk about the power and the vigor and the strength of this wine. What fruits are you getting out of this? What flavors are you getting this? What textures? What? Let's translate this for those who are watching.
Sure. Yeah, when you get it on your palate, you start with that great, brilliant, sharp acidity. That's the first thing that come, and that goes right at the back of your tongue, and that's already a bit surprising. Then you've got that sort of complexity and also acidity that goes on the side of your tongue, and you've got all those aroma, which is very mineral, sort of a mix of hot stone and smokiness, but also lemon, lime, and orange skin, and a mix of all of that at the same times. And it's powerful. It's everywhere on your palate. You understand what I mean? It's just like it explodes on your palate. It's sometimes it's almost a little bit too much. You want to breathe and you want to relax a little bit. You understand? But this is it's a very demanding wine because it yeah, you get exhausted after a while because it's so concentrated. So it's not a wine that you're gonna open every day. It's just it's something that, yeah, for Christmas once a year or something like that, you can have that wine. It's
No,
bone
no, no,
dry,
no,
so
no,
there
no.
is no
I'm not gonna,
residue. But
no.
yeah,
I'm not going to agree with you on this at all. I'm not going to agree that it's a once a year wine. I'm not going to agree that it's overpowering. I'm not going to agree that it's too much. This is something that you want to have with your main course. This is the start. This is what you're going to have. You have to set it's the crescendo. This is where you're going. This is where we're going. This is where we're heading all the time.
sure. Well, that sounds cool. No, I'm also I like you to say that. I mean, I really I mean, um uh, yeah, I like your comment.
This wine, and this, I don't know if I've ever said this, but this wine I would have with a steak.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
that,
I,
yes. It is the
yeah, because
white
it's so powerful. Yeah,
wine.
well, that sounds cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
It's the white wine that you eat, that you drink. Sorry, you eat. I eat my wine. It's the white wine that you enjoy with steak. It holds up to it. It does have all that power. It does have all that texture. It does have great acidity. But I definitely think that this is the wine that it's got enough texture and power that you're going steak. Now, keep in mind, I like my steaks rare, so I'm not talking about a
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. No overcooked. No. I know. No. That would
yeah,
be wrong. No.
yeah.
No. I agree with
But
you.
I'm talking,
We want it rare. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
yes,
That
I
would
agree with
that
you
would be
on the
interesting.
all
Actually, I should try. I really should try.
don't wait a
Maybe
year to
with some
try it.
chimichurri toast or something like that. Yeah. No. That sounds good. Yeah. Do
Don't
that
wait. Don't wait. Don't wait a year to try it. Try it now. Now.
yeah.
Now.
Tonight.
What better night than a Monday night for dinner?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can
So that's
see
yeah.
all
Mm.
of these, we're going from ceviche to tartars to, and we didn't even talk about cheese, by the way. That could be in a whole entire other
Yeah.
Instagram live to talk about cheese and Riesling. But what I mean, just so many. But yeah, there's such an amazing array of food that can go with these wines. There's such amazing wines. They're so great in textural and great acidity and great flavor profiles. It's all over, the flavor map, if you will, and they go with um, so many different foods. So it makes total sense that you're doing what you're doing. What drives your passion and excitement?
Yeah, no, it's super exciting, and And please, if you come to Alsace one day, I mean, please come and visit us, because that would be quite cool to show you a little bit. Actually, I can show you. Do you want to see something from the backstage?
Do I
I'm going to
want
show
to
you
see?
something.
Of course
Yeah,
I want to see
because
some.
now you see the vineyard, but what you don't understand is that I'm actually in my cellar to be. So this is the cellar. That's going to be. I mean, for next year, that very dark thing will be a cellar. So for now, you don't really see it, but we from next year, if we do the same video in a year time, you will see tanks and pallets and everything.
It's a vision. It's a vision. It is a vision for the future. It is a vision for
Exactly.
your winery. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I mean, I know it's hard. I,
Yeah.
I know it's hard to show a work in progress. You know, you
Oh
want to
yeah,
show
no,
a
no.
finished piece. So I appreciate so much
Exactly.
that you showed that to us. And I'm very excited to hear that you're in the process of creating your winery. That's so exciting. And yes, Stephanie, next up is going to be cheese with Alsace.
Oh yeah, no, let's do that. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. I love it so much. So, Julian, tell us, what did we miss? I mean, we went over so many different things. Yes, absolutely. We want Julian to come to the US so that you can share all of your passion and excitement for these Grand Cru Alsatian Rieslings. That's so fantastic. So what did we miss? Is there something that we missed about your wines that you are just dying to tell us that I haven't asked the question?
No, no, I mean, yeah, I don't think so. But whoever wants to know a little bit more about us, of course, we've got our Instagram account, and we are trying to take as much picture as we can, so you can have a little bit more of the inside of what we are doing. But I don't know what I know there are so much things to say. We could have go for different wine as well on granite or schist, but that's going to be next time. But yeah, no, I think once again, Alsace is super exciting. It's one of those wine regions that need to be rediscovered. It's because it's really unique with a rich range of wine that you can try with different food, and people are friendly, and the cellar are open, so we all have a tasting room, so that's actually pretty easy to go to Alsace for holidays. So I
That's
think
very
we,
cool.
we should all go there.
We should all go there. I agree with you. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Julian. It was such a pleasure to get to know you, and it was so delicious to get to know your wines. Alsace is such a great place. It's so exciting, and there really are amazing things happening. The wines are top notch, Grand Cru. You can't get better, and they're approachable, and they're fun and easy and exciting and different and passionate and sexy, and all of the amazing things that we're here on this planet to experience and to enjoy and to share with each other. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you have with us today. If you enjoyed our little chat here, Drink Alsace is continuing with the series Lunch with Alsace every month on Mondays. So make sure that you're following Drink Alsace and make sure that you're drinking. See, this slip of the tongue. Make sure that you're following Julian Schaal Wines, and make sure that you're finding these wines. And for more, we'll put plenty of information in the live, in the text of the live, to find out where to buy these wines. And we look forward to seeing you, Julian, here in the United States, and we hope to come visit you soon. And we hope to see all of you who have spent this time, this lunch hour with us. We hope to see you again next month on Drink Alsace Live. You'll get a brand new winemaker, you'll get a brand new sommelier, and have some good information and an amazing food and wine. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see everybody again soon.
Thank you so much. That's been awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, cheers, cheers to
Yeah.
everybody. Cheers,
Cheers.
cheers. Happy luncheon.